G1 once again! I saw that, well, this one actually just popped up on my feed. It's like, the basics on Smokescreen. The only thing I know about Smokescreen is that he always shows up with Prowl, ready to fight. The reason I know that is because we are, like, over on the Patreon, like, 9 episodes into G1. Me and Fable have been watching over on Patreon. If you really want to help us, it's only $1 to become a full-time patron. $1 a month. Anyway, besides me rambling about that, yeah, I don't know much else about him other than he is Prowl, but he has, you know, guns on the side of him. I don't know what else is there to know. Is there more to know? Oh, also, we've been watching The Beast Wars, considering that is a series I've never watched along with G1. Armada was my main thing, and I have watched a bit of animated. But other than that, we'll go with that eventually. Let's learn about Smokescreen.
The comments section's been asking for this episode for a long time, and I figured I
Really?
couldn't keep you waiting any longer. This week it's time for a look at the basics on the many Autobots who have shared the name Smokescreen.
I mean, it's a good name.
The original Smokescreen toy was first released in 1983 as part of the Japanese toy line Diaclone, and was then imported by Hasbro to become part of the second year of the Transformers toy line in 1985. The figure was one of 3 Diaclone toys that transformed into Datsun 280ZX Turbo sports cars. The other 2 were released by Hasbro in 1984 as Blue Streak and
No. Okay, I was wrong. The one I was seeing was Blue Streak. That was dumb of me, I apologize. But I also don't know much about Blue Streak. Why is his name Blue Streak when he doesn't... You know what, I shouldn't ask these questions. There's probably some Transformers historian that'll tell me. That might be this guy. That might be Chris McFeely.
These red, blue, and white colors were based on the unique, real-life electromotive engineering Datsun, driven in racing championships by Don Devendorf. Marvel Comics writer...
I just want to say before we continue, that is a hell of a name. Don Devendorf. That is a very funny name to me. And we will continue on.
Bob Budiansky crafted a profile for Smokescreen that characterized him as the Autobot's diversionary tactician, a devious and charming bot who had an ulterior motive in everything he did, whether he was leading Decepticons astray on the battlefield or using friendly conversation as a cover to gather intel on the other Autobots for Optimus Prime. In vehicle mode, Smokescreen could generate a literal smokescreen from his tailpipe, which he used to blind and disorient his enemies. He used this ability many times in the Transformers animated series after he joined the cast of the show midway through its 2nd season, though no explanation was ever offered for where he had come from. In his showcase episode, The Gambler, Smokescreen was the only Autobot to avoid being abducted and brainwashed by the alien gambler Bosch, and attempted to buy his friend's freedom by using his skills of diversion and misdirection to help Bosch cheat his way to a big win in an alien casino. Bosch put the brainwashed Autobots up as collateral, but unfortunately, Lady Luck didn't smile on Smokescreen, and he wound up having to join forces with the Autobot bounty hunter DevCon to rescue his friends. In the Marvel comic book, meanwhile, Smokescreen was one of several Autobots who, millions of years ago, allowed Optimus Prime to copy their minds onto storage crystals, to take with him when he left Cybertron in case he needed reinforcements.
Weird,
in the
but
present
okay.
day, when this need arose, new bodies were constructed, and Smokescreen and the other Autobots' minds were implanted into them. Sadly, Smokescreen never did much of anything in the American...
Okay, I have a question for people. If you're copying your minds into there, does that mean you're just leaving your old body? Is your old body still moving around? Is it just a copy of you now? Did they all die? These are questions I ask the people in the comments because you guys usually know.
Comic, but he got a little more time in the spotlight in stories produced exclusively for the United Kingdom.
They seem to do that a lot.
In which he led a handful of Autobot missions and memorably worked alongside Inferno to alert the Autobots to the resurrection of the Dark God, Unicron. Now, Smokescreen's toy was only on sale for 1 year, and with its discontinuation in 1986, he was quietly phased out of both the comic and the cartoon. Storyboards for the Transformers the movie depicted him as one of the many Autobots who fell during the Battle of Autobot City, but the finished film replaced his body with Wheeljack. No further toys of Smokescreen were released in the original series, but in 1994, in order to maintain their trademark on his name, Hasbro reused the name on a toy of a new, very different character, unconnected to the original. A Decepticon jet fighter who came packaged with the huge stealth bomber Dreadwing. This Smokescreen had no profile or personality, and made only a brief appearance in Marvel's Generation 2 comic. But over the years, Japanese media would flesh him out, depicting him as a mysterious manipulator who tricked the pacifist Dreadwing into working with him to wipe out both the Autobots and the Decepticons.
Another quick question, is there any actual... I don't think there's any actual show for Generation 2, but tell me if there's like a long-running comic series, because I think it's only a few issues from what I've been told, but I could be wrong.
New toys of the pair were released in 2010 as exclusives at the Tokyo Toy Show, and in 2019 they appeared in the Transformers Legends manga, upgraded into these new forms by Unicorn.
I kinda like the bigger one.
In a surprise move, the manga retroactively declared that this Smokescreen was actually the same character as the Autobot original, explaining that he had temporarily been turned to evil after his mind was fractured into multiple personalities by an experimental system designed to let him control multiple bodies at once. The random reuse of Smokescreen's name would continue in
this Smokescreen.
2002's Transformers Armada, which debuted another new Smokescreen. This one a strong but slow Autobot Crane, who liked using direct, full-force attacks rather than fancy fighting styles to make sure that every move counted. As seen in the Armada cartoon, this Smokescreen followed Optimus Prime's unit when they left Cybertron for Earth through a warp gate, but was separated from them in transit and materialized beneath a human city, where he was stuck until his comrades found him. Smokescreen later became the guardian of the Minicon weapon, the Skyboom Shield, and used his crane arm to deploy the shield to whoever needed it in battle. He was gravely wounded during a Decepticon attack on the Autobot base, but medic Red Alert was able to save his life, rebuilding his body into a new form. Now equipped with a powerful excavator alternate mode, Smokescreen took on the new name, Hoist. Now, while Armada's Smokescreen had no relation to the original, the series did pay homage to the classic character by colouring the Minicon Prowl in his red and blue deco. Also, it was planned for the Armada Hotshot toy to be recoloured in Smokescreen colours for 2003's Transformers Universe toyline, but this figure wound up being cancelled. But after these false starts, the name Smokescreen would finally be brought home in 2006 by Transformers Cybertron. Initially, this series planned to reuse the name at random again, this time for a gruff Autobot monster hunter. But this bot wound up being called Crosswise instead. Early broadcasts of the Cybertron cartoon used the Smokescreen name, but it was later redubbed to remove it.
Smokescreen! I'm not called the Monster Hunter for nothing. Crosswise! I'm not called the Monster Hunter for nothing.
Interesting.
Late in the Cybertron toy line, though, Crosswise's toy was recolored to create a true Cybertron version of Smokescreen, which brought the character back to his roots as a red, blue, and white Autobot sports car who was described as a prankster who used his talent for trickery to confuse and mislead the Decepticons.
Alright then.
This return to the classic depiction of the character continued into the live-action movie universe, when a movie version of Smokescreen with the colors and personality of the original was introduced in the first film's tie-in toy line in 2008.
Tie-in toy line.
This Smokescreen appeared in various tie-in comic books, and more figures of him were released in the 2009 sequel toy line, Revenge of the Fallen. The most recent and most significant new incarnation of Smokescreen was introduced in 2012 in Transformers Prime. Though he sported a variation of the classic color scheme, in terms of personality, this version of Smokescreen was again a rather different character. A reckless young hotshot whose uneventful job back on Cybertron as bodyguard to the Autobot sage Alpha Trion had left him all too eager for his first taste of real action.
Also, that's a
Early
really good
plans
toy.
for the Prime cartoon
Good-looking
would
toy.
have seen Smokescreen appear in the first season and been killed by the Decepticons. But this ill-fated role ultimately went to Cliffjumper. Instead, Smokescreen joined the show late in its second season, linking up with Optimus Prime's unit on Earth after escaping a Decepticon prison ship.
Armed with his signature weapon, the Phase Shifter, which granted him the power of intangibility, Smokescreen's desire to be a hero saw him frequently rush in without thinking, which caused his comrades a lot of frustration, and even led to him being captured by the Decepticons, after it was discovered that Alpha Trion had hidden a powerful Cybertronian relic inside his body.
I see.
But he eventually turned a corner after he saved Optimus Prime's life following a catastrophic Decepticon attack on the Autobot base.
Good.
During this affair, when it seemed like Prime wouldn't survive his injuries, out of necessity, he almost passed the matrix of leadership to Smokescreen, which made the youngster realize he wasn't as eager as he thought for all the responsibilities that went with a life of
that's
heroism,
a big
and
thing.
helped temper his hot-headedness with some much-needed patience.
Oh, change colors here.
In and amongst all these alternate versions, the original Smokescreen hasn't been forgotten.
His presence in Transformers media in the 21st century has been limited to only minor roles in comic books, mobile games,
I mean, that's
and the
fine
like.
too.
But he grabbed plenty of headlines in 2003.
When he was the first figure released in the Transformers Alternators toy line, the first major revival of classic Generation 1 characters with modern alternate modes. In Smokescreen's case, a Subaru Impreza. And in the years that have followed, every time a new Prowl or Blue Streak toy gets released, it's common for it to be recolored to create a new Smokescreen as well, meaning that he's appeared in Transformers toy lines pretty frequently over the last decade. At the moment, there's no sign of him returning to our TV screens just yet. But where Smokescreen's concerned, looks are always deceiving, and nothing can be predicted.
Never really know what's,
And those are the basics on Smokescreen. Tell me about your favorite incarnation in the comments. As always, if you've enjoyed this...
I don't know much about Smokescreen, as I said, but I will say this. Transformers, like Autobots and Decepticon favorites, usually show up at random. It kind of depends on the... What the hell is that? Oh, that's a thing. Anyway, it kind of depends on really the author and what they want to do with it, honestly. It depends on what they're really doing with it, or if they just like the character and just like had their toy as a kid, or just like them from a different series. It's honestly, that's usually how it goes. They bring in the character or they make their own. But anyway, thank you all so much, and I hope to see you guys later. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and, you know, we have stuff over on the Patreon. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye, and take care of yourselves.